Dude, like, you're just jealous because I'm texting chicks across the internet right now.
Are you actually texting somebody right now?
Hey guys, this is Sam, and today we are back for some more Apple news. I want to try to do this on Fridays from now on. So, like, I was doing it on Monday of, like, the next week, and then talking about news from the week past. It was just even confusing for me to keep track of it. So, I'm going to try to make the Last Week at Apple videos, like, every week on Friday, so I can actually talk about the news from that particular week. Alright, kicking things off, I actually want to start off with something controversial, and I usually don't cover this stuff, but since it's related so closely to technology and Apple, I want to talk about it now. So a few days ago, Donald Trump, the current president of the United States, issued an executive order preventing certain people from some countries from making an entry or coming into the United States. It was extremely controversial. Some have called it unconstitutional. Apple, Google, and a few other tech companies wrote an open letter to Donald Trump very clearly opposing this. It's not my place to share my opinion, but if you guys want to read the full letter down below, it's pretty cool and it's a very interesting perspective on the current immigration challenges. Alright, moving more specifically into some Apple news from the past week, there's a super cool Apple Watch patent that was issued for a Apple Watch band like I have right here on my wrist that will have a battery inside. Honestly, right now, like, Apple Watch battery life is super good. I don't have any complaints on my Apple Watch Series 2. If I don't charge it, it'll last between 2.5 and 3 days just off one charge alone because watchOS 3 has been incredible on here. So, batteries inside of the band sound like a good idea. I mean, eventually the goal for this is to charge it once a week or maybe even once a month when batteries get so good in the future. I think a battery band would be awesome. Now, also interesting to note here is that on the watch patent, it shows a circular or round Apple Watch. Now, I don't know if that means anything in the future. I know there was a big controversy or like discussion when the Apple Watch was one of the first square smartwatches on the market. I don't really mind having a square watch. It kind of makes sense to me, but if Apple were to do a circular watch in the future, I'd be really interested to see how it would look. Now, continuing on with more Apple Watch news, we finally learned what theater mode is, and to all of our disappointments, it is not a dark mode. This was a highly anticipated rumor for iOS 10.3. It never came true. Lots of people, including myself, were disappointed, and it turns out that this feature, like I said, is literally for going into a movie theater. It allows you to mute your watch, so for example, you'll still receive like vibrations and notifications, but when you raise your wrist, the screen just won't come on because like you're in a theater, you're not supposed to have light coming from anywhere else but like the main picture. And then also, it's going to silence your device. You can basically do this already, like just put it on low power mode. It seems kind of like a pointless feature, and why Apple's team is spending time on features like this instead of something that everybody wants, like a dark mode, kind of confuses me sometimes. Now, this next piece of news is going to take us, I think, all the way back to September of 2016. Apple announced quite a few new pairs of Beats headphones when they announced the iPhone 7 and the AirPods, and they came out with something called the BeatsX. These are like actual earbuds, they're Bluetooth, they're wireless, and I haven't heard that much about them yet. But apparently they're coming soon. They've been delayed time and time again because I believe there's been some manufacturing issues. But if you've been holding out for them, they're coming out soon, hopefully as early as next week. Alright, and this last piece of Apple news that I am way too excited to share with you is that Apple sold more phones than Samsung in Q4 of 2016. So that's a pretty big accomplishment if you ask me. Now granted, they only passed up Samsung by like 1 or 2%, so they're not doing marginally better, but for everybody that was always like, you know, they sell more Androids or Samsungs than iPhones, that just wasn't the case in Q4 2016, and the facts tend to disagree. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up all the Apple news for this episode of Last Week at Apple. If you want to see this and more Apple news on Fridays, make sure to subscribe down below. And while you're down there, you can add me on Newsflash to get push notifications whenever I release new content, whether it's here on YouTube or on my website. If you enjoyed it, hit like as well. I've been Sam. Hope you guys are doing great. Love each and every single one of you, and I'll talk to you later.